3, go!
So the first thing that I do every morning without fail before I get out of bed, I check my phone and look at a number on the screen. And that number tells me whether the next 16 hours of my life are going to be manageable or miserable. And I've been doing this every morning for almost 6 years with new versions of the same smart ring on my finger the whole time. And not one of them has been good enough to make me actually swap the one that I was wearing every day. I think for a large part that just changed. And the reason isn't a better sleep score or a fancier app. Before I tell you everything about the RingConn Gen 3, let me tell you what I can do for you and give you a chance to win this many $100. Thank you for supporting the channel all these years. Made it super easy. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me the first bit of data you would want to know about yourself with your RingConn ring, or tell me a fun fact about yourself. You can comment once per day for 10 days to enter. Watch the video all the way through. Give the video a thumbs up. Open to anywhere in the world. All information you need that will be down below. So quick context as to why the number on the screen has that much power over my day. I have brutal insomnia, and I've been pretty vocal, and I've talked about this, and I've had it for years. When I was in college, I could sleep until 2 in the afternoon if I felt like it. I had no issues. Then I launched Techno Buffalo. The launch did not go the way I planned. And kind of somewhere in that whole experience, my brain decided that sleep was optional. So I checked my sleep score. What's the number look like? How many hours did I actually get? People will tell you sometimes it's better not to know, don't check. It's better if you think you did well. And I get that argument. But there are mornings where I am convinced I slept like diarrhea garbage. I check the data, see I got actually 6.5 hours of decent sleep, and mentally that switch flips for me. I start to feel more rested because the data says I should, and I generally have a more productive day. Which brings me to this video's sponsor, RingConn. So I tested Gen 2 of RingConn's ring last year, and it was pretty good. It did exactly what they said it was gonna do. The problem was I already invested pretty heavily in another ecosystem. And Gen 2 wasn't quite enough to pull me out of that ecosystem. Gen 3 did, and the reason is something that nobody else in the category is doing at all. RingConn put a vibration motor inside the ring. Tiny haptics right there on your finger. You get vibration alerts, which is not an alarm, but it does give you notifications for things like inactivity or low battery, or even like abnormal body signals. Your heart rate spikes overnight. The ring will tap you. There's no other major smart ring on the market that does this. Not Aura, not Samsung, not Ultrahuman. RingConn is alone there. And the reason it matters to me specifically sort of takes a quick detour back to about a year ago, which is when I stopped wearing an Apple Watch. I could not handle notifications anymore. Even with most of them being turned off, just having the thing on my wrist was making my anxiety a lot worse. I quit wearing it. Now I wear mechanical watches now, the kind that don't beep, don't buzz, or remind me about absolutely anything. That swap was great for my brain, at least for me. Now it's on a ring. And this ring doesn't have a display. It's not gonna vibrate when I get texts. It's not gonna remind me about meetings. It's not gonna vibrate when somebody calls. That's awesome. It has other vibration uses too. Use cases like a sedentary reminder, like you've been parked in a chair for too long, a low battery nudge, health alert if your heart rate does something it shouldn't, even if your stress level tends to rise. But I think the bigger story is what it's been doing during like the 8 hours while I was sleeping. Sleep apnea, something that sort of snuck up on me as something to care about. A few years ago, I would have told you that I didn't even think about sleep apnea at all, and I kind of barely knew what it was. Then both of my brothers-in-law, my mom, and 2 other people who don't want their names mentioned in my immediate sort of life all told me separately they've been diagnosed with sleep apnea and were on CPAP machines. Those breathing machines that kind of look like masks. So that got my attention, and Gen 3 monitors for it overnight, every night. It's doing it by tracking your blood oxygen every 2 seconds while you sleep, and it's gonna calculate something called an AHI score. Basically counts how many times your breathing slows down or stops per hour, which is a metric kind of a sleep doctor would actually look at. The ring tells you if your numbers are landing somewhere sort of worth looking at. I do wanna call out too that Gen 2 did get this feature. I just never paid attention to it really before. With Gen 3, I did. Unfortunately, out of all my sleep issues, sleep apnea is not something that I have to worry about. So I was pretty happy to see that. The apnea stuff is kind of the overnight piece, but there's also the daytime piece too with this. And it's got a new feature called Vascular Trend. So I keep a regular blood pressure cuff at home. You take a reading on the cuff, then you sync that into the app and you set your baseline. And then from there, the Ring watches patterns over the weeks and months, sort of day to night rhythm, post-workout recovery stress response. And the idea is that you can spot a drift before it becomes kind of a real conversation with the doctor. I don't have issues in that area, but a couple people in my family do have high blood pressure. It's kind of why I started paying attention to early prevention. Kind of early signs are usually hidden, and Gen 3 just helps you spot them better. This is kind of the thing that I'd kind of want them wearing. Crazy long battery, like almost 13 days long battery. Some new finishes to and extra sizes. The battery story part is one that actually kind of gets buried amongst everything else in this category. So RingConn rates Gen 3 at 11 to 14 days with vibration off, and then 10 to 12 with it on. My Oura Ring Gen 4 is rated to 5 to 8. In the real world, I tend to get around that. Samsung's Galaxy Ring is rated for about a week. So almost 2 weeks of battery life for a smart ring is not normal. It almost gives you 3 times kind of what Oura does. If you're the kind of person who travels for work or just hates putting things on docks or chargers, this ring's barely gonna ask anything of you. It does come with a charging case, and I love that. This one though fits all sizes. If your spouse or friend or somebody wears one, you can just bring one case to charge them all. Okay, so let me just say this plainly, because a comparison is a comparison. The Oura Ring 4 I'm talking about starts at about $349, and then asks for just under $6 sort of every single month for a subscription, or about $70 a year to get all the features that you'd want forever. RingConn does not have a subscription. Never has. Samsung Galaxy Ring also has a subscription and only works on Android. It only really works correctly with a Samsung phone. RingConn works on iOS and Android the exact same way. If you want a ring, it doesn't lock you to a phone brand, can last almost 2 weeks per charge, taps you awake without a sound, watches you sleep for apnea, and beyond all that will track vascular trends with no monthly fee. This is the only one that does all of those things. A few notes too. So sizes run 6 through 15, which I know is a big plus for guys with kind of larger hands. Sizing identical to the RingConn Gen 2, so if you already have one of their sizing kits. There are 5 finishes too. 2 of them are the new brush options. The one thing I would flag though, if you're new to smart rings, the sensors on the ring face inward towards your palm, and kind of getting them oriented correctly does take a minute, kind of when you're first putting it on. Mine also shifts on my finger throughout the day, so I kind of find myself taking it off, checking, and putting it back on, because sensors aren't always sitting where they should be. Obviously not a deal breaker, just more of a, I guess, a heads up. You'll get used to it. Who is this actually for? If you've been, say, Oura curious, but don't want to pay subscriptions, this is the one. If sleep is a problem and you want every advantage you can get, this is the one. If you walked away from the smartwatch like I did and want the data without the noise, this is the one. If anyone in your family deals with sleep apnea or vascular issues, you want to sort of keep an eye on yourself without a sleep lab or sort of a daily cuff routine, this is the one. The one person I'd steer somewhere else is sort of if you're deep in the Samsung Galaxy ecosystem. And even then, you can make a pretty big case that this is a better option than what Samsung's offering. And that all brings me back to where we started. 6 years of waking up to the same number on the same screen from the same ring on my finger. Tomorrow morning, that ring is different. The number I'm looking at, so the first thing I'll look at. The data behind it is better. And I don't have to pay anyone a monthly fee for it. But link way down below if you want to check it out.